Everyone, I am Mike of Mike and Test Play, and welcome back to Pokemon Colosseum. Last time, we snagged a Murkrow and raided Apom and Murkrow, and didn't really do much else besides that. But we got our second DNA sample, so that's something. And this time, it's off limits beyond here. We're jumping immediately into a battle with Cypher Peon Vanna. She's relevant. She has a Forretress. Shade and Shine are on the job. And Shine is beat up because I didn't heal properly. That is the downside to the faster but iffy healing method. Forretress is a shadow Pokemon. Okay, I didn't save between Murkrow, who I claimed to be the most annoying shadow in the game, and Forretress, who's here now. There's a reason for this. Forretress and the next shadow available to us are a stark contrast to Apom. Forretress, Apom and Murkrow, sorry. Forretress is a terrific defensive Pokemon, as evidenced by the taking, no damage from Secret Power, although Secret Power got the paralysis, so that's what I wanted. And it also has a snag rate of 75, which is actually not changed from its original, with a heart gauge of 6,000. And Forretress is a bug type. Bug types are vulnerable to the Net Ball. The Net Ball is very helpful. I've already used it. But, it just means that even that low snag rate, still, 75 isn't that bad. And it's more like the equivalent to a, 150 or better. I'm not worried about the snagging of Forretress here. And Shine, by the way, superstar in it right now, 1 HP, hanging on. So I imagine Shine out there like, you know that I'm almost KO'd, right? Like, you know that's happening to me currently? And Shade's just like, I got this. I'm going to flinch this giant bug ball thing. Alright, if that hits, yeah, that'll do it. I couldn't last. See how well we can do. It's worth a shot. And we'll send in Mr. A. Because Mr. A has a new move that has not been used yet. And it will be very effective here. So I want to take advantage of that. We're just lynching this Forretress down. Yeah, great defensive Pokemon Forretress, and able to, kind of handle the Whittles a little bit. As we used Ice Beam for the first time. That was our new move, but I'm talking about other things. As Forretress flinches, alright, we're not messing around anymore. We don't need to. We'll just pop that out, and then call Mr. Ray. We really have nothing we need to do here, because Net Ball, medium HP, but it's paralyzed. 75. Yeah, I wasn't worried at all. As we snagged Forretress. Excellent. Yeah, I think you're tough. And you know what? We're not even gonna go. We're just gonna, we're gonna actually use our items. I said that we were going to, and I'm sticking by that. We're reviving Shine, and then we're using a Hyper Potion, even though we could be more efficient. But whatever, it's fine. I want to actually use items. I never do. And we've just snagged another shadow, so that's pretty cool. And we're just gonna keep going. Yeah. We're just like ramming through. There's not a lot of extra going on in the Shadow Lab. Welcome to the Shadow Pokemon Lab. Cypher Peon Lesar. Your Rhyhorn and Ariados. There's just, there's like all these trainers and, Like, we are just bursting through this place, and Rui's like, hey, that's a shadow Pokemon. It's also in my notes. Ariados! Another bug type, meaning that the netball works, and has also not had a change to its catch rate, which is 90. Snag rate of 90. Heart gauge 6,000. So, yeah, it's a big change between low snag rate Apom and Murkrow, who don't have any special balls and are super, easy to KO by accident, to Forretress, who's one of the hardest Pokemon to KO by accident, and Ariados, who just has a high snag rate, along with the, again, best ball availability. I got the paralysis again. Shade really kicking butt here. Love it. Anywho, no, Hidden Power Fire is stronger. Because base 70 pounds. KO the Grovyle in one shot. Yeah, that's about the easiest battle we've had. I mean, we still have a snag to do. Like, I don't even know. Wow, that was close. I did not think that would do anywhere near what it did. That scared me. Was it a crit? I wasn't looking. I should have been. But, like, I didn't think Fight would come even close to doing that much. Okay, whatever. Perfect snag range, 90 snag rate, that low HP, and paralyzed with a netball? I don't even think this has a chance. Yeah, no. I think that was guaranteed at that point. But we defeated Lessar! Catastrophically strong! Cool. Really cool. Okay, so we've done a lot of damage to these guys. It is kind of fun. We're actually gonna go heal because we have 2 more Shadow Pokemon, and again, I kind of want to split them up. And there's just this particular section is the Shadow Lab is, again, we're raiding. We are the raiding party for the Shadow Lab. They did not know that we were coming. They did not know that we had a main gate key. As far as Cypher knew, we were nowhere, we couldn't get in. And they're not ready for a raid either. They've got trainers around, but they just... I'm taking the slower route because I forgot to heal Shine last time, and I don't want to forget to do that again. If you leave the Shadow Pokemon Lab at any point, there's nothing. Like, nobody has any new text or new anything in the world. It's just totally blank. But it's just totally, what it was before, basically. So the Shadow Lab was not ready for us. Remember, they just shipped off their last Shadow Pokemon. They're like minimum security, nobody left, like nobody in the building. Like, they've got a few peons here and there. That's it. So we are raiding a facility which was not prepared for us in any way, shape, or form. So there's not really a lot going on. And as a result, there's not a whole lot to these episodes between just shadows. So on that note, as we get ready to save after this episode, let's do the shadows. Starting with Forretress. Forretress is a bug steel-type Pokemon who is extraordinarily interesting. Forretress is going to get 2 different images for its 2 different types of raiding and roles it can play in your team. This is the first time we've done this. It will not be the last time we do this. It is not the last Pokemon who will get this. But Forretress is an extraordinarily interesting Pokemon, Shadow Pokemon in this game. We're going to start with what I feel is kind of its more useful set here. The defense one. Forretress, in this particular role, has an offensive rating of 7 out of 10. Forretress actually has pretty good attack power and certain moves that can be very helpful in terms of dealing out damage. Forretress is just it's meant to be a defensive Pokemon, but on offense, its attack isn't bad at all. It's actually very useful. If it had anything relating to good stab moves, I might not have split this into 2 different groups. It might have just been a tank. But, it's still useful even when you're not kind of focusing on that, as just being able to deal damage. Defense, though, is where Forretress shines, kind of regardless. It gets a 9 out of 10 for defense, just super high physical defense, decent enough special defense, decent enough HP, and a type with only 1 weakness. Now granted, it's a 4 times weakness, but fire is not a move that's a coverage move all that often, and so you can kind of see it coming, and I just think that it's, Forretress's main job is to defend, and it definitely can do that really, really well. Regardless, you don't need to really input anything into it, but you can, and that's what we're focusing on here. The only reason it doesn't get a 10 out of 10 is the special defense is a little bit low, and again, any fire move just KOs it, so, kind of tricky there. Snagging, 3 out of 10. It can be useful for snags, basically Rapid Spin, which is in its natural moveset, does very little damage, but, don't rely on it there. That's not its specialty. The role for this particular version of Forretress is defense. And the best moveset for a defensive Forretress is Toxic, Protect, Spikes, and either Light Screen or Reflect. You can set up to 3 levels of Spikes and just do damage to Pokemon as they come into the battle. It's just a really good stall tactic combined with Toxic and Protect. And then, whatever screen works best for your team is just really, really helpful. It gets a 6 out of 10 sync rating for this because a lot of teams can use a defensive Pokemon, but since it's not kind of an all-in-one defensive Pokemon, if you're focusing on the defense, it's a little bit limiting. It can only do that. It's not, say, an Umbreon that can defend and also, be useful offensively as well. But, plenty of teams can definitely make use of a Forretress. The other part of Forretress, though, is, let's just say, it goes boom. Forretress has a secondary one, and it should be up because I put it when I started talking about this. Its other role is Explosion. Forretress has Explosion in its natural moveset. It's the move it gets when you purify it. And Explosion has base 250 power, 100 accuracy, hits both targets on the opposing team, and cuts their defense in half as it does it. Now granted, it knocks out your Pokemon toe and it hits your partner, so it's a little bit limiting, but Forretress has the attack power to make that really useful in certain ways. It turns its offense from a 7 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10, just because it can just go boom and wipe out the opponents. At the cost of itself, which takes it away from the 10 out of 10, but, it has that option. None of its other stats change. Even the sync rating doesn't change because, yeah, it's super helpful, but you gotta have Protect or Mischievous to make that work. Those are your only options at that point. But you do have that option. That is a thing that you can do. The best moveset, if you just want to use Explosion, is Explosion, Spikes, Earthquake, because why not, and Return. It's just all about dealing damage. It's just Earthquake and Explosion, and in case an Explosion's a bad idea, here's some other stuff. That's what it can do, and I just think that that's fascinating. And it was worth making 2 slides over because they're just very different roles. Either Forretress can be your super defender, or you can just say, nah, it just goes boom. Harder to level up that way, but, it's fun. The other shadow that we obtained is Ariados. Ariados is a bug poison type Pokemon. One of many bug poison types, although I believe it's the first one we've snagged. And it's interesting in this game. Ariados' main struggle in most games is that it doesn't really have the moves at any sort of a decent level to be good, but in this game it kind of has one, so it makes it interesting. Ariados' main focus is offense. It gets a 6 out of 10 on offense. It could be higher, but if it had better special attack or better speed, it's really better speed, then it could be pretty helpful there. But it's frail enough. Defense is only a 4 out of 10 because it just can't tank hits very well. You'd think, oh, it has agility, but if you're counting on agility, it's not going to be able to take the hits it needs, basically. But on offense, it does have some good options. Snagging, 2 out of 10. It's basically based off of, well, it can do little chip damage with Leech Life. Just not Ariados' strong suit. The role you would want Ariados to play is offense. Again, it has very good physical attack, and that can make it very helpful, especially since it comes with Sludge Bomb. The best moveset for it would be Sludge Bomb, Psychic, which it learns naturally, but at level 63, so, like, it can also learn it by TM. And Psychic, even though it has lower special attack, it can still be very helpful on an Ariados because it's good coverage. It's not necessarily, like, the best move overall. You want to be using Sludge Bomb, but it can also, deal some damage. You can also use Return, and then Leech Life. It's just handy to have a Bug-type move for a Bug-type Pokemon. The Sync rating for Ariados is only 3 out of 10. It's tricky to fit Ariados onto a team because it is a slow physical attacker with basically only one physical attack that's worth mentioning. It's not that it's not valuable. Again, if you just, have a hole there, if you don't have any physical attackers and you want one and your team doesn't mind, being on the slower side, if you've got the support for that, it can be a very good Pokemon. Stab Sludge Bomb coming off Ariados' attack is really strong move. So, you've got options there, but again, very few teams are going to be able to fully take advantage of that. And that does it for the Pokemon that we found in this episode. Kind of all we can do in this episode as well. Again, the Shadow Lab is a really weird thing because it's been built up for so long, but then when you actually get here, it's kind of just like, Snags, keep going. Like, there's not a whole lot to it. So that's going to do it for this part. Thank you so much for watching, and join us next time when according to my notes, snag the next 2 shadows here. So I guess we'll look forward to that. See you guys then.